Hello, my name is John Bradbury and I'm on the board of directors of the Children's Guardian Fund. Behind me, you'll see the Sarasota County Courthouse. That is the place where the judges make decisions about foster children. Those children who are brought into the system because of neglect and abuse. Their lives, many of them, will be forever changed by the decisions that go on up there. Now we're lucky. We're going to be able to go into the Guardian ad Litem headquarters and talk with Toni Latortue, who is the executive director for the entire 12th Circuit of the Guardian ad Litem program. Come on. Hi, Toni. Thanks very much for setting aside the time today to discuss the program with us. There's a lot of curiosity and interest about the Guardian ad Litem program, and if it's okay, I'd like to ask you a few questions about it. Please explain to us what the program is and how it benefits foster children.
So we are a court-appointed program when children are removed from their parents in dependency court, and we serve children from birth to 23. They do have the option to extend foster care at the age of 18 up to the age of 23, and that's pretty much what we're about.
Ooh, how many children are in the program?
Currently the program represents 1,176 children in the 12th Circuit.
Wow, and the 12th Circuit is Sarasota?
Sarasota, Manatee, and DeSoto.
How many Guardian ad Litems are there in the program?
We currently have about 386 certified active volunteers, and that means that they are actually working a case.
Wow, that's a big disconnect with the number of children.
Yes.
How did children come to the attention of the court?
Well, whenever someone suspects abuse, they contact the abuse hotline. Normally, it would be your teachers or doctors, family members. Those are still your reporters, but that's where the number of the calls usually generate from. With the pandemic and children not being as visible in the community as they were, you had a lot of neighbors or concerned people that were making calls. Now that school has resumed, you still don't have 100% of the children that are in school in person, so the numbers that we usually experience this time of year are slightly lower than previous years, but that's normally where the calls come from, family members, teachers, doctors.
So COVID has had a strong impact on you, but you're coping with it?
Yes.
Good.
Definitely.
Good. Family and Children's Services assign a caseworker, as I understand it, to each case. And they are handling the family and any of the children that come out of that family. Why is a guardian important too if there's already a caseworker on the program? Well,
because so if you look at how the court is made up, this is a legal proceeding, so everyone's a party, including the child. And historically, before our program came into existence, everyone had an attorney, someone to represent them, except for the child. So we were started over 35 years ago to represent the best interests of the children only. So that is our main focus. The case manager has the task of making sure that services and case plan tasks are there for the parents and also for the children. So they have a lot of responsibility and have to, keep up with their getting in reports and that kind of stuff, where the volunteer just has to look out for the child. We do have to make recommendations for placement and services and visitation and permanency goals, but we only have to do that for the child. So that's the difference, is that the uniqueness of the volunteer is that we only have to focus on the child.
That's interesting. So the case manager is working the entire family.
Yes.
Trying with the goal of reunification. And the Guardian ad Litem program works only for the child.
Yes.
Okay, that's very interesting. Toni, can you give us an example of an actual case? I know you can't use names and so forth, or at least a typical case of how a Guardian ad Litem could enter the situation and make it better for the child.
Oh, okay. There will be a lot of cases that I could give you examples for. Every time a child comes to the court's attention and they are sheltered, that is an opportunity to make a difference in their life. Whether it's a child that was substance exposed while the mother was pregnant, and so the child is taken immediately at birth, to if we shelter a 17-year-old that turns 18 in 6 months, there's always opportunity for the volunteers to make a difference. With an infant, for instance, a volunteer is able to make sure that the parent and the child get ample opportunity to visit and bond with each other. So you make a huge difference there, instead of just having taking a child from a parent and there not being adequate visitation, so the bonding can occur and we can achieve reunification. And with the teenager that comes from a home that we may not be able to send them back to, setting them up, making sure that they have services set up to successfully turn 18 and be out on their own, help them to make a decision about what type of secondary education they may want to have, or to set them up with employment and that type of stuff. So every case is an opportunity for a volunteer to make a difference in a child's life.
It must be very difficult for the children. They're pulled away from their parents, a situation that they know, no matter how abusive or neglectful it might be, and they're thrown into a situation where strange people are dealing with them, so a guardian can make a huge difference.
They do, yes. We have a case, and one stands out to me. I have a volunteer that has been on a child's case for 4 years, and the child has had many placements, many case managers. I'll even say, and it's not common, but a few different volunteers, Guardian ad litem staff. But the one person that has always been consistent is the volunteer for those 4 years, and that is the person that child looks to for comfort. And when there's a new person introduced into their lives, the volunteers are there to help them ease into that transition and to say it's okay to open up and let these new people in. So.
Oh, that's very good news, because case managers have a large turnover.
Yes.
And foster families change.
Yes.
So the children, the one constant in their life is the guardian ad litem.
Yes.
That's a very positive situation. A lot of the children that we're talking about are probably lower income. How does a grandmother or an aunt who all of a sudden is responsible for this child, the child is living with them, how do they cope with that? I mean, are they getting paid all the money that they need, or is it tough on the family?
It's tough. I would say they're probably not getting paid all the money that they need, but the funding does provide additional care so that they can bring the child or children into their homes. It's hard to say if it's enough funding or not. More than likely, it's not. But most of them do it because it's their family or even a friend of the family, and they care for that child. So the financial piece is not what's pushing them to provide the care, but it does assist them with that. But I'd say it's underfunded. It's an underfunded program. So
yes, in this day and age, that's what happens. Well, does the Children's Guardian Fund then come in and help to make up some of that difference?
Definitely.
They do?
Yes,
okay.
They do. And as you said, most of the families that these children come from, so in addition to maybe not having enough income, they also come from homes that have experienced trauma, whether it's been a little bit or a lot. So normal childhood experiences aren't really on the forefronts of their minds. So the Children's Guardian Fund, they afford these children to have a piece of that while they're under the care of the court. So whether you have tutoring, for instance, that's not always something that the family is even focused on. But I know for a fact, with the numbers, that the tutoring that the Children's Guardian Fund provides has made significant differences in the lives of the children, giving them confidence that they may never have had in school. It's people paying attention to them in areas that they need. Also, normal activities like taking karate lessons or having ballet lessons. Something simple that our children, when they were graduating, they never had to worry about, will I be able to go to prom, or can I get my cap and gown, that kind of stuff. So the Children's Guardian Fund is definitely a huge benefit to the children in our community.
So the fund really helps to provide a more normal environment for the child.
Yes.
I can remember when I got my first bike. It was a very special moment. And this must work out too with foster children, where the family may not be able to afford something like a bike, but the Children's Guardian Fund can come in and help.
Yes, and they do a great service with that. I know when I used to be a child advocate manager with the program, and that was one of the first programs that the Children's Guardian Fund was able to assist with, and it was awesome. I loved going and shopping for the bicycles and the helmets and the locks, and the children loved it. And you were absolutely correct, John. It was the best thing. And things that we take for granted, you know, we had that stuff growing up in homes, but when kids come into care and you have a 10-year-old who's never had a bike, you know, it kind of sits with you for a long time, but then the Children's Guardian Fund is able to provide that, so they make a huge impact with the children.
That's great.
Yes.
Well, Toni, thank you very much for the time we spent today. It was very, very productive, and I learned a lot, and hopefully our viewers did too.
I hope so, and it was my pleasure. Thank you, John.